The year's really long when you're in it
Mhm.
and when you're learning a new behavior and it's a new state. You're learning a new state to be in that
Yeah.
state of receiving, that state of care.
Yeah.
It requires breaking down societal conditioning and past life trauma and a lifetime of only flexing the muscle of like, I've got this and I've got all of you as well.
Mm, that's true.
So in the grander scheme of things, a year is not long, but when you're in it every day for a year, it's lifetimes. Hello, I am your host, Taria. Welcome to the Pussy Whispers podcast, where we get to the heart and bones of all things sex, love, and spirit. I will be bringing play and depth to these juicy topics so you can have an intimate understanding of yourself and the freedom to take up space as you are. Michaela, sweet friend, let me introduce you.
Honored.
Okay. So, Michaela has been in my life for like 12 plus years.
It has been a hot minute.
Yeah, so I've known Michaela for a long time, and I would say that our friendship has started to evolve and blossom more in the last few years. Would you agree?
Yeah, I definitely agree with that.
Yeah, which honestly is really good for my nervous system to remember that you don't actually know where things are going to go. You can have patience with connections and friendships, and timing is so important in connection. So, Michaela has been my friend for a long time, but recently a closer friend to me, and has also been my tea leaf reader for a long time. And back when you used to do tarot readings, like remember, you used to
Yeah,
analyze all
that
of
is
my
where we
dreams
started.
and do tarot cards before you found your tea leaf reading calling that allows you to be more creative and channel your intuitive abilities in a more expansive and freeing, less constrictive way, right?
Yeah, I would definitely agree with that. That
Yeah.
was well worded.
Yeah. Yeah, I've known you for a while, so I feel like I feel like I can really speak to your process, which is
True.
so wild. Yeah, it's interesting too because I have definitely honed in on my intuitive abilities in the meantime as well. And I think that we all need help with our with like our guidance because as highly intuitive as I am, Claire's, but I also find it incredibly challenging to only be my own guide and intuitive. So it's always so helped to have friends and helpers and guides to help me when I'm blocked and stuck. And yeah, you've been one of my most playful, intuitive helpers.
Honored by that.
I find that your flavor is very playful, and I have noticed throughout getting to know me more that you've been able to get more blunt with me. I don't know if that's because your style changed or not, but I've noticed you're able to be more blunt with me. And maybe it's also because you trust that I can take it and that I want it and that I need it.
Yeah, I think
Do
it's
you
a
agree?
little bit more of that. I think I've like honestly always been very blunt with my clients, but I think it's like when it's your friend, you want to naturally be soft with them, you know? I
Oh,
I I think you know that I'm soft with you naturally, so it gives me more space to kind of be blunt when things come through.
so you can trust that now. That's sweet.
Yeah.
I didn't think about it from that lens. Honestly, it's true. It's quite tender to work with friends because I also have, I also work with some of my friends and it can be so tender to work with friends, even though at first I wasn't doing it. But the more I excelled at my skills as a coach and an intuitive, I felt very confident when my intuition was telling me, like, no, you can work with this person and you actually will be an important helper for them. Still does have a level of tenderness when you're not just like bluntly talking to a stranger, you're talking to your friend that you've known and you've seen all the things.
I think as I've stepped more into my gifts as well, I just naturally receive stuff constantly. So, which
Yeah.
is just I think some friendships that comes up so much more because there's almost like an openness in receiving there, and other friendships
Yeah.
that's like a closed door that I don't go. But it is an interesting one to navigate for sure.
Yeah, I want to speak on that. I can relate to that on multiple levels. So I didn't, yeah, let me fully introduce the episode. I feel like this is such a
Sorry.
me. No, wait, why are you
Interrupting.
apologizing? This is me. I'm like, this is exactly my personality where I could go the entire episode without actually introducing it. In this episode, we're just gonna playfully explore intuition. We're gonna talk about intuition. We're gonna ask questions. And my inspiration for this episode and why I've been wanting to do this for a long time with you, and I feel like it's the perfect time to do it. But I want people to know that there's so many different ways to explore intuition, to understand
Yeah.
intuition. And I think to have an insight and a perspective on the way that both you and I explore and relate to intuition, as well as our challenges and blocks in intuition, can be really helpful for people. And I find the further I go into my career, the more I'm recognizing my clients are attracted to exploring their own unique abilities, or they feel, or they've put themselves in a box, they put themselves in a box of what they are and aren't able to access in life. And I just think it will be really exciting for people to hear whatever we want to share today. So I'm following my intuition on this podcast episode about intuition.
We're so here for that. Very excited.
Okay, so what you were saying before, I find fascinating because, like, since I'm also doing intimacy coaching, I have had to have incredible boundaries with my friends and with myself because at any given moment, somebody could start telling me about their challenges in sex, love, and relationships. It's kind of a lot.
Yeah, that's
So,
fair.
one thing I find fascinating with you is that I'm very aware in our presence of both of our capacities for helping each other out. And so, therefore, I'm actively flexing the muscle of withholding so that you don't feel like you have to respond to my energy, because I know you, and I want you to like have a break and not feel like you're like always having to respond to the inquiries of my energy. So often I'm trying to hold that closer. So I'm respecting your energy and respecting your time. And it's also funny because it's sometimes so hard to do that because it's the most playful, hilarious, fun way to hang out. But I know what it's like to have a gift and have a superpower that benefits every single person. And so I know that that can be exhausting, and I've personally had to give boundaries. Like, I have one friend that every single time that we talk, I get
Yeah.
downloads for her.
Hmm.
Then I leave feeling drained, and not in a negative or a positive way, but just because it was like a powerful transmission that came through my body. And
Hmm.
so I started to just give my body a boundary and say, we're not doing that anymore, because I have to honor my energy and honor my body. And then there are some friends that I never shut that off for, because we have a level of reciprocity and we have that respect, and they're in my inner circle. So it's kind of just like, the friends in high places energy,
Yeah, that makes
right?
sense to me. I can relate to that a lot.
Yeah. What would you like to add to that or share to that? Or, yeah, because I don't know if I ever told you that, but
I
sure.
don't think
Yeah.
I've never heard you say that. I do really appreciate that so much, and that you honor, that feels like you honor my gifts, and I am
Mhm.
really honored by that. And I also like whenever I look into things for you, it's not taking away from me. So it also is very much that space. I think it's because I can see that you value my time, and because of that, like it, and I also, yeah, I think there's actually a lot to say on this subject, but I also see that, yeah, when I think when I sit with you, things come through so naturally, and I'm so open to sharing that. And I also have like fundamental value system where I don't look where I'm not asked unless it's given to me. And if it's given to me, then it's important to speak. So those things are important too.
Mm.
But it's such a complex situation, I think. I also have friendships where, I mean, to be honest, because am psychically reading people, I have had a couple of friendships who were not very close who have asked me to look into things and then later kind of like thrown that in my face in a weird way. And obviously those weren't good friendships, but it's a funny dance.
Yeah, I think as somebody receiving any form of guidance, there's a level of responsibility that is on both ends. As the receiver, we're also responsible for what we do with that information, and we're responsible for holding the relationship in a certain regard. And I think in my experience, a lot of people aren't aware of what their responsibility is when they show up, because there is a level of like you're being led, you're being guided. And so there's a vulnerability in that. And it also requires discernment and
Yeah.
acknowledgement of our agency. And so if somebody is coming into a session that doesn't have access to that agency or self-advocacy or ability to take ownership, then it can be really challenging
Yeah.
for the guide. And I have learned over and over and over again that because I'm in service to truth and love, that I have to follow truth and love and then be willing to risk losing that client or risk rupturing their relationship if it's in honor of truth and love. Because, yeah, sometimes people aren't going to receive or hold the truth and love in the way that we would love them to.
Very true. I think there's also like a level of maturity and awareness and friendship when this happens that needs to be present. It's funny
Yeah.
because like with my clients, I've never once had this issue, and I am blessed with so many beautiful clients. To be fair, like they're all pretty extraordinary, but never once have I had the same problem. It's yeah, when it's diving into like friendship in that enmeshment almost.
Yeah. Yeah. Totally. I used to do trades more often, and I'm very, very discerning. Like you and I have, we do stuff like that all the time, but
Oh,
it's
you're
it's
great. I
so
love you.
so different, right?
Different.
And the last time that I did trades with somebody that I didn't have a high regard and respect for in terms of what I know of what they're able to hold. Like I didn't really know that much about them. I was like, yeah, sure,
Mhm.
let's do this. And they weren't able to hold like a level of professionality and didn't take it seriously, didn't take my time seriously. And I think learning those things has made me a better coach, has made me trust
Yeah.
my intuition more. Sometimes we have to fail with our
Oh yeah.
sessions in order to get stronger and have more discernment.
That is so true.
The trials and tribulations of being a service provider and also taking on massive amounts of responsibility all the time.
This is very true.
Like, it's not for the faint
It's
of
a
heart.
journey.
It's not for the faint of heart.
Yeah, this is so true. It's also so fascinating because I think we probably can relate on this level too, where what I offer in my job is so a way of life for me and it never gets shut off.
Yeah. Yeah, that is very real. That is
Yeah,
very real. I,
people experience that in that way.
my goodness. I have been thinking about that a lot lately, actually, and I've been wondering if it would be really nice to just come home from work and be done.
I can relate to that. I understand.
Or
But I
like
also
come home
can't
from
not do it.
or like come home from work and then like in a pressure-free way explore my abilities that these like intuitive abilities and intimacy abilities Yeah, I don't know. It's true. I can relate to that. Like, no matter what, even if I pivoted work-wise, I would never be able to turn my back on what I know in myself.
Yeah,
I don't even know if I physically could have the ability to stop being intuitive or stop being empathic or stop having my brain think about everything. Like I am constantly tracking things and understanding things. Like I love my intellectual side. Like I don't think I can turn that off, even if sometimes I just want to do like I've been looking into firefighting.
wow. Oh yeah, I knew that. That's very cool. Very
And I'm thinking about that. I'm thinking about firefighting. So in my brain when I'm tracking like that career change, I'm like, okay, I would be a firefighter. I would get all the training. My body would feel really good. I would have a secure job. And then I could bring all my intuitive healing abilities to the job. Like it never, no
it
matter what.
doesn't go away.
Yeah, like then as soon as I've like relieved that, that part of me that wants to understand what that job would be like, then I immediately bring in what I'm already doing and I'm like, yeah, sweet. Now I can do this as well.
So awesome.
I wanted to circle back around like the boundaries aspect of this work and how, yeah, you were saying that you didn't know that I'm making sure that I have those boundaries when we're going to hang out, so you're not just like reading my energy the entire time. I think the reason why I have valued that so much is because in dating, specifically because my career is so related to everything that people are going through in the dating world, I have had a lot of people, instead of trying to date me, are trying to be my client without
Oh
realizing
yeah.
it.
Mhm.
And yeah, I find it really exhausting when you go into the world and you already can't shut off, but then other people aren't respecting your energy or respecting your abilities and trying to be more conscious of where I place myself. Like, place myself in front of people who I know are going to respect my energy and my time versus in situations where it almost seems like people are starved for access.
Yeah,
So what do
I
you
do see
do
that.
for yourself in that situation? Like, so for me, I just have to like have verbal boundaries. Like I have to tell people like, hey, if you want to work with me, you have to work with me. But you can't like, we're not going to mix like you're not going to get like free coaching from me on our date. Like that's not fun for me. Like that's not going to work. So
Yeah.
I verbally have boundaries or I pull away or I have like energetic boundaries. What do you do to have boundaries?
Have a lot of energetic boundaries. And again, like I have a fundamental value system that I base my work off of that plays into those energetic boundaries. Again, like not looking where I'm not asked is a big one. So I don't like, I think sometimes people just think that I don't know what they think. Maybe I just like sit and receive stuff about all of my friends all the time. So
Right.
they'll tell me something, be like, "Oh, but you probably knew that." I didn't look. Anyway, so it's I think there's like a lot of communication right off the hop around like what I do and clarifying what that practice looks like for me. I guess in relationship that I don't know what to say about that. I read for my family when they ask me to, and they are very, very respectful of my time and don't ask me too often,
Hmm.
like once in a blue moon. And when it comes to being in relationship, I also like partners that I've had have also been respectful to that and also taken a while to warm up to the idea of like wrapping their mind around it because it's quite outside of the box for a lot of people.
Mm.
So there's that too.
Yeah, I find that I tend to, there's like an energetic thing that happens where like I feel like people can sense what I have to offer. And I don't want to like shut that off, but I do want them to play. I just want like people to place themselves more in categories that are like appropriate for me. So I've been trying to tend to that more, like, yeah, that people are doing more of that self-discernment. But
Yeah,
I find often people need a lot of help and guidance to take responsibility for their role in relationship with me.
super fair.
Yeah, yeah. And I'm such a huge fan of responsibility, like self-responsibility, that I think I hold it to a really, really high regard. So when I do meet somebody that has the same level of self-responsibility to me, I feel like my whole nervous system can relax because I know that they're working as hard as I am. Versus if somebody doesn't have that level of like boundaries, discernment, self-responsibility,
Yeah.
respecting other people's energy, then it's easier for them to fall into a position in my presence of taking instead of being in that reciprocal dynamic. So I've been just like noticing over the last few years, and I think we've even talked about this, like I have to be way more boundaried because people are more likely to fall into that position, taking instead of being in reciprocity, which is has been really good for me. It's been like an incredible opportunity, but it's also not as relaxing or playful as when I'm in the presence of somebody that I know is like on my level and we can just like ebb and flow and take care of each other and there's reciprocity. And yeah, I definitely find myself like craving more of that, like craving more that people are showing up and they've done their work
Yeah,
and
that's so fair. That is so fair.
yeah.
I think in my case, like my core group of people, so many of them are doing their like inner work of like meditation practices or using a tarot practice or astrology or whatever that looks like, that there's that natural boundary so much easier.
Yeah, it makes me curious about the polarity that I still notice.
Very fair. I also saying that, I think I have I naturally I think what happens to me more so than people like straight up asking me for guidance or like a like psychic downloads or whatever is a lot of people come to me with their problems because I naturally hold space. And that is a thing. Even when I'm in like my worst phase, people will still come to me and cannot handle that like I need space to be held for me. Other
Hmm.
than you're great at it, Tria. For the record, I
Yeah,
do
we've talked
find
about that. Yeah.
that is more a threat in my life. That is something that I'm paying attention to.
I'm glad that you're paying attention to that because I think a lot of people that are service providers and
Yeah.
empaths and givers struggle to shut that tap off
Yeah.
of being in that role when you need to have the roles reversed. And you've seen me go through my journey after the last 2 years where I needed a lot more support after my breakups a few years ago, as people who listen to my podcast know about, because I've recorded 3 podcast episodes about it. And they are awesome. You should go listen to them. The biggest gift that I received from moving through that challenge is learning to tell people that I can't support them because I need so much support right now, and to like explicitly tell people what I need from them
Hmm.
and how I need to be supported. So I had to learn how to explicitly let people know what I needed and how I needed to be supported when I was going through my hard patch and my grief and my heartbreak. And I notice now that I'm on the other side of that, I really struggle when my friends are going through a hard time and they're not in a position to receive help and support. They're not in a position to speak to what they need and want.
Hmm.
And instead, they're kind of isolating themselves. And, I had to work through that strong, independent attachment belief system and like so much worthiness wounds in order to be received and supported. And I find it really challenging when my friends aren't able to let people in and be supported.
Hmm.
I think yeah, I think it's an important thing to have to go through to learn to say no and tell people
Yeah.
that you need help instead, because it's kind of like you have to shift that muscle that people are used to interacting with you in a certain way. You have to shift that pattern. It's a pattern. It's a groove that people got into.
Yeah.
It takes
It's
work.
it's a particularly hard one to break, I think, especially like as a people pleaser. And also, like, I think it's hard for people to receive people in their life in a different way when they're used to having that person to rely on, you
Yeah.
know? So there's a lot of unraveling to do within that dynamic or those dynamics. And I think in the last few months, with my friend passing away, as I've told you, I was like pushed into a place where I had to figure out how to receive help more than I've ever had to figure it out before. And even though like there's no lack of like difficult things happening prior to that, but this just like really pushed over the edge where I needed to figure out also like how to take space for myself before I was able to give anything to the close people in my life.
Yeah, I wonder if that was your like 'cause everyone has a different capacity of what is their tipping point of like, okay, now I will ask for help.
Yeah. But
That's how big it was for you. Maybe that's how deep that well was of, okay, I've hit the bottom of this well and now,
right, well,
yeah, I can relate. I think that equality, reciprocity, balance in a relationship, in a friendship is not something that necessarily shows itself on a day-to-day basis. So, for example, you could maybe have had friends that you were supporting for years and years and years and years and years, and now the balance is coming where it's their time to support you. I think if the friendship and relationship hasn't experienced that change yet, then it doesn't even know that it's allowed to. Like it's that trust hasn't been built yet. Versus friends that has that on a daily basis, it's that muscle is already there, but balance and equality and reciprocity, it's not something that always has to show itself every day because we go through different seasons. Like I have friends now that have kids. I mean, like you're one of them, but you've had your kid for a long time. But I have friends that have kids now recently, and I've
mm-hmm.
only known them before they had kids. So now our complete dynamic has changed and they need more from me. And it's so
Yeah.
effortless for me to switch that dynamic in that role. I had this one friend specifically who was more like a mentor to me and was like so happy to play that role all the time and now has a kid. So now I'm going into auntie mode when we hang out and I'm prioritizing the kid and I'm showing up for them.
That's
I
so
still see her
special.
try, if she listens to this, she's probably gonna know I'm talking about her. I still see her try to mentor me. She used to be my supervisor, mentor, and that's the role that we started in.
Mm.
And so it's still there. It's still there, that energy. But now it makes so much sense for me to give all of my love and attention to the kid and be like the best auntie, and that's like what serves my friend. But that took like 10 plus years to switch over that balance.
Yeah.
So when the balance comes in more of those big, massive life shifts, I think the nervous system is a little bit more scared to trust that it's really okay to massively shift the balance here. But that's, I think, when those friendships really show us that there's room in this friendship to change and grow and evolve because we're going to go through that like many times in a lifetime, right?
Yeah, 100% I agree.
So do you find that you're being stretched to trust that
But
friendships
yeah,
can like evolve in such big ways?
100%. I think honestly, it happened for last June. This is a bit of an intimate share. Actually, that before that, it was last May, a year ago May. I had a miscarriage, and it started
I
then.
didn't even know that.
Yeah, it was very early.
Oh my goodness.
And it gave me a prolapse, which
Okay.
kicked, I like needed so much help with, but it was also something that I didn't share with so many people. So only like a small, tiny, teeny handful of people in my life knew, and I needed so much help. And then right after that, I broke my ankle in three places.
I remember I was like, wait,
So much help. So I've been stretched in this way for quite a minute now that you would think that I would well seasoned, but I just naturally am so independent. I think probably a lot of that has to do with being a single mom. And I don't know, maybe even prior to that, but so it's taken me a long time to understand how to ask for help and also like how to communicate when my capacity is at a limit.
Yeah.
It's a journey.
I mean, the year's not really that long.
It's true.
And I know that sucks to hear because a year's really long when you're in it and when you're learning a new behavior and it's a new state. You're learning a new state to be in that
Yeah.
state of receiving, that state of care. It requires breaking down societal conditioning and past life trauma and a lifetime of only flexing the muscle of like, I've got this and I've got all of you as well.
That's true.
So in the grander scheme of things, a year is not long, but when you're in it every day for a year, it's lifetimes.
Yeah.
It
I guess
really
it's
is.
been almost 2 years, but yeah,
Yeah.
it is. Oh, it feels like a long time. And I think there's also like a natural expectation for myself to move things through things so quickly because I naturally do that. It's like, whoa, why is this taking? Why don't I have this figured out yet? But it is true. It is not that long grand scheme. And some people, yeah, don't even get there. So
Yeah.
I'm grateful we're figuring it out.
Yeah, I think the coin just flipped for you.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah.
now you're getting to know the other side of the coin intimately, and you got really good at the other side.
Mm-hmm.
And so, of course, it's frustrating to be a beginner at
Yeah.
something.
This is true.
I will say, though, it's made me a better person to understand what it's like to need care and move past my protective mechanisms. It's made me a better person. It's made me stronger. It's made me a better member of community as well.
Yeah, that's so true.
Because community care is what we need to make impact on the planet. We can't grow a garden with just one vegetable and no sunshine and no soil and no water and no air and no diversity in what's in the garden. We
Hmm.
need the whole ecosystem. So being on that end of receiving support has made me a better member of the ecosystem, community care, and impact and change on the planet. It's also helped me feel way more secure in myself.
Yeah.
But I can relate to the timeline thing. Like I don't know if I ever told you this, but when I was going through my breakups and heartbreaks, I literally thought it was going to last a month
Yeah.
and that I was going to be living the most joyful life I've ever lived. Like I thought like 1 month from now, I'm going to be having all of my dreams come true. So I can relate to the frustration of timelines in terms of like, how long the new state takes to learn. And yeah, 2 years later, I finally was like, huh, I have no idea how this is all gonna go. Look at me learning.
You are doing so well though. It's been so beautiful to like see you really like I think embody where you are and ground into where you are. You're just so much more in your body than I see that you've ever been and like so much more empowered in that and it's so special. So I honor that in you and you're killing it.
Yeah, I find it interesting to see myself in your process as well. And maybe you see yourself in my process. I don't really know, but because it was frustrating.
Mm-hmm.
Like I wanted it to go faster than it did. And now that it's taken the timeline that it wanted to, and I'm on the other side of my new life, I look back and I giggle. And the only thing I would tell past me is like to release the timeline expectation and embrace like
Yeah.
however long it's going to take.
That's a big deal.
Yeah. Like now that I'm on the other side, I'm looking back and I'm like, 2 years isn't really that big a deal. Like, what's the difference between the 2 years that I just experienced and the idea that it was going to be a month timeline
Hmm.
wise, because energetically, I still received everything that I needed to receive. So it's almost like I'm relating to time in a different way, that 2 years and 1 month could be the same time energetically
Oh yeah.
if you receive all the energetic downloads and insights and understandings to shift your state of being into the state that is needed of you next.
Yeah, it's so
So,
true. I also think that it's like that brought up a thought that it is really important not to like rush yourself through processes, because if you think about how much change you've gone through in 2 years, if that all happened in 1 week, that is like that could break so many parts of your even your psyche. Like that's where when people push things too fast, it starts to cause harm.
mm, mm,
And I think that is like allowing things to be slow and timely as they need to is so important. So, good reminder for me too. But
yeah, isn't it always? I wonder if you can relate because I didn't know that I wasn't just going to be grieving my breakups and my
mhm,
life that I was living, that I was going to also be grieving the loss of my brother from 7 years ago, that I
yeah.
was also going to be grieving the really hard childhood that I had, that I was also going to be grieving the loss of my ex from before that, that you know who I'm talking about when I
Mhm,
say that. I had no idea all the threads that was gonna be tugged on
mhm,
by rupturing my entire life and tower carding everything. I didn't know that
mhm.
it was going to unearth everything that I hadn't yet fully felt or moved through. And the only reason, which I know now, the only reason all that could happen is because I was fully ready and stronger than I ever had been to rupture in such a big way. And so, of course, it wasn't going to take 1 month because it was an entire lifetime and lifetimes before that of digesting experiences. And I always tell my clients that you don't want to get in debt with your experiences and your emotions and your energy. And sometimes it just happens and we don't even know that we're in debt with it because we didn't have the tools and strengths to meet the depth of the well until now.
Yeah, that's so true.
So, yeah, I'm wondering if there's anything that's taken you by surprise in terms of like what you're learning about yourself. Because I think like we have intuition and we have understanding of what's coming, but then there's the things that we don't know that it's coming. Like, have you had anything arise in your last few years of trials and tribulations of learning to be on the receiving end of care that surprised you about yourself?
All of it a little bit. I mean, I guess like with I don't know where to start with that. With the freshest thing, I guess, with the death of like again one of my very close friends. I I think that brought up so much and it showed me grief in a way that I've never really experienced before and stripped me
Mm,
completely bare. I do see that like that experience in itself has showed me so much and also allowed me to grow in ways that I couldn't have ever expected, and including my spiritual practice and my intuition. It's like unlocked 1,000 doors. So it
mm,
is like something that is still so tragic and still so tender, but also is like giving me a huge window into areas that I didn't bother to look before.
right. Well, I wonder what those windows, yeah, I wonder where those windows will take you. Because I think unveiling unknowns, like like our intuition, I find, shows us how to get to the windows or takes us
Mhm.
to the windows. But what it doesn't do, let me know if you agree with this or not, it doesn't tell us why or what. We only learn why or what when we're on the other side, when that's what I've come to learn. How do you
Yeah,
experience?
I mean, I it is like a complexity for me. I think there. there's a lot to say about reading for yourself. I do find I have a lot of blocks myself that I'm not allowed to look in certain places and in my own personal experience. And so I will get friends to pull me cards or do trades or get readings sometimes from like psychics that can read me, which are few and far in between. But I do find that more recently I get to see the why
Mm.
more easily than I see the what's coming.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, yeah. Okay. Where do you feel the
Especially,
why? Does it come from like a greater source or does it come from yourself?
I see all things come from a greater source, and I believe that that is our higher self is so intertwined with that.
Yeah.
So, like when I tune into spirit, I do see that my higher self is equally intertwined with the information that I'm receiving. And when I look at when I receive for you, I believe the same thing for your higher self. And it's all so interconnected.
Yeah, so you've been able to access the why more, and do you find that that is helping you navigate with more grace or helping you like keep
I don't know.
going?
I think it's a day-to-day thing, you
Yeah.
know? Some days it helps with more grace, and it's often like little insights or little tiny knowings. And sometimes it takes me a minute to see them, especially like if I'm in a space where I'm overwhelmed by my experience, which has happened lately. I just started being able to like move energy through my body somatically with the help of a practitioner who does EFT.
Nice.
And after that, I started to see little signs, even in my home, of like I walked out the front door and I'm like, my home is lined in violets. That is one of my favorite flowers and is incredibly significant to me and 100% showed me about something that's coming in.
Well,
I'll share with you later, but I won't share here.
just for my ears only. You'll have
But
to spend 12 years of love and care and connection
this
with Michaela to get the insights.
not wrong. I am a relatively private person, but I I do see that yeah, there are little little pieces of the puzzle that come up in a day-to-day that kind of give us a bigger vision or allow us to be like, "Hey, look, there's a bigger perspective at play here."
Yeah.
And that can create more momentum forward.
Yeah, I can relate to the puzzle for sure. I think, yeah, I think that's where I have to pull like all the patience from me. Like
Mhm.
I find that intuition for me requires so much patience because I can get really fast. Like I feel my creative energy, my sexual energy, which they're so connected. They move
Yeah.
really fast and sometimes the puzzle is so big
Mhm.
that I can only see a few pieces of it and there's like frustration that can arise. So I have to muster a lot of patience to stay in the puzzle,
That's so
to not like
fair.
give up on the puzzle. Wow, that's such a good metaphor. And to like,
Yeah.
or to like leave the puzzle, take a break, and then come back to it with fresh eyes. Because it's like, okay, you can see the box, you know that the puzzle is gonna come together, but
This is such a good metaphor.
that you actually have been trying to find like because I puzzle with my mom.
Yeah, that's nice.
My mom's a big puzzler, but like you can like I remember like working on one piece
Hmm.
where I was like, I don't understand how this piece doesn't belong in this area. And then I realized that there's one piece on the other end of the board that my friend was working on, and it was just in the wrong area. So I had to like
Hmm.
move that puzzle piece over, and then all of a sudden, like everything came together. Yeah, I find that having patience is so important. Yeah, I can get like faster than my puzzle. Or if it's not, if the answer I'm receiving isn't as obvious as I would like it to be, I get a bit frustrated too.
It's so fair.
Like, let me give some examples and see if we can get more detailed into like our intuitive process. Because what I love about what I love about like our journeys and as I've watched them is that there's all these like crossovers in like our abilities, but at the same time we have very unique differences. And I've been noticing more things about myself that I think you would be a valuable like insight and input onto that intuitive process. Like I had 2 dates like quite back to back, and one of them brought me a rose like art,
Cool. That's
and then
beautiful.
the next person was wearing rose earrings.
That's so beautiful.
And as you know, I have worked with rose very consciously
Hmm.
and on purpose to help like heal during my heartbreaks.
Yeah, it is
And
so
they
good
were
for
a
grief.
strong medicine that came through. But the funny thing is, like, when I saw the synchronicity, I was like, okay, like, what is it? Like, I still, like, I knew that it was telling me that I'm in the right place, but I didn't know what else it was telling me. And I could feel like that frustration of that because I get synchronicities all the time and my intuition comes through in so many different ways, but it doesn't always tell me how the puzzle is coming together. Like maybe I'm like working on too many puzzles at the same time.
I think there is beauty often though in like not knowing exactly
Yeah.
how it's going to come together. And that feels important and purposeful. I also see that like I just have to say roses stand for unconditional love, so I think it's nodding to
Mhm.
that as well.
Yeah.
This is a little side note, but I do see like with synchronicity, it's about like holding a container of curiosity and allowing you to like soften into the synchronicity rather than being like getting too close to the particular puzzle piece and being like, it's all about this one piece. I'm going to get lost in this one piece because that's the only story that counts. So it's like not getting caught up in the story, but
Mm.
sitting back and being curious and allowing you to like continue following the roses, you know?
It's funny how easy that is for me to do with other people. Like when I'm in session
Oh,
with
for
somebody
sure.
or when I'm with my friends,
That's
I'm just like,
so
you need to
fair.
stop overthinking this and stop hyper obsessing and just know that it's telling you you're in the right direction, you're in the right
Yeah.
place. But like when it comes to myself, I get really invested in
Yeah.
my, I am so invested in my success.
It's beautiful.
I'm so invested in my access to the greatest life I can give myself
Mm.
and the greatest life I can share and offer to other people because I'm gifting myself access to that. And so I get really frustrated when when I'm not always sure of what's happening or why. And
Yeah.
I think that's where I have my own blind spots, but maybe I'm learning how to navigate that because I've checked in with my intuition so much lately and I'm like, hey, are we meant to like be reaching out to another practitioner right now to help us navigate this?
Hmm.
And I keep getting a no. And it's not because I don't need or want that. It's because I'm learning to hold on to my finances in a different way
Yeah.
and the energy of like holding. And it's really frustrating
That's so fair.
because I want to see like where it's taking me. I want to see the energies clearly. And yeah, I like hearing you say that to stay in the curiosity and not and like zoom out. I'm like, yeah, like I absolutely know that and I hear that and I can
Yeah.
still feel the frustration.
I think it's important to like also note that like it's so easy to want to bypass our humanness, but it is defeating the purpose when we do, you know? So to honor that frustration and be like, of course you're frustrated. That's fucking fair. I'd be frustrated too. That happens to me. I totally get it. I literally do psychic readings for work and I still have a lot of blind spots. That is so human. And if I didn't, then where would the fun be, you know? If I knew everything or if you knew everything that was going to fall into place, would it hit the same way? And
Right.
it wouldn't. So, also something that's probably important to note.
I've been getting a lot of guidance lately because, okay, so one thing that I know about my intuitive abilities, or like, I don't even know if at that point it's intuitive versus like actual just abilities, is that I can be a catalyst for change in people's lives.
Mm-hmm.
Like, So I receive downloads through my body. And so I'll receive information and then it can actually like change the vibration in the room based on like
Yeah, that's super special.
what's coming through in my body. So knowing that I can be a catalyst for change, I'm often like guided intuitively, like who to go hang out with, who to talk with, where to go, where to like go live. And then I'm shown that like there's a very good chance it's going to make this massive change for that person if I do that. And so
Hmm.
lately I've been, because there's like some things happening around me, and I'm like, do I want to know how this is going to go? Like a family member was in surgery, and I just very clearly was told, don't look into it. You don't need to know like what the outcome is of this situation. And it felt so true and felt so relaxing. And I was like, okay, now I'm being guided to know when you act, it's not even important or relevant to know how it's going to turn out for these
Hmm.
other people. And again, it's still like so hard to like accept that for myself, but it feels so clear for other people when I'm just like not, when there's no benefit to knowing
Hmm.
like how something's going to go. And then other times where I'm actually given very clearly, like that this actually is already happening and that you're here to help this happen
That's really special.
in terms of like a change, or you've even been like recruited, you know,
Yeah.
or like invited in to the point where sometimes I will absolutely decline offers to hang out because I can tell that that person just needs like a loving presence to catalyst some change for them, but I don't always want to be in the presence of that all the time. Like sometimes I just want to like have a chill day, you know?
Yeah, that's important also to like give yourself space for that.
Yeah.
Because I mean, you could say that you've chosen a life of service, and I have as well. But having a day where you just like allow yourself to be and not necessarily force your like not necessarily be in a line of service, but just like being. And sometimes that does look like just like throwing it off the plate for the day.
Or like choosing to engage in something where I would be like in a contract or an agreement with somebody or something like okay, choosing not to move into a certain house, choosing not to take a certain job. Like there's things that are more like long term that I'm
Yeah.
like, "Oh yeah, I could see where me placing myself in this situation would be of service to you, but wouldn't necessarily be in service to me." So I've had to learn that it's also important that it's in service to me.
100%. And I think that's coming
Yeah.
back to the beginning of like those boundaries that we were
Yeah.
talking about earlier.
Yeah.
Totally.
I still have my blind spots, so like where like I know that I'm not supposed like that I'm supposed to just stay close to myself. And it's usually when so if I have a crush on somebody, it's so much harder to hold that frame where I'm like, oh, I can see where this would be of service to you,
Yeah.
but doesn't necessarily propel me forward in my current life trajectory. So that's one that I've been having to like be more boundaried with because it's like a boundary that's not that as fun because
Hmm. That's
if
so fair.
if I have a crush on somebody, I just want to be like, what I call a service bottom.
That is the best.
But then it doesn't propel me forward in my life goals. And then like and then I go back home with myself and I'm just like, okay, like now we're still here in this
I,
position where we need to like propel ourselves forward.
yeah.
So it's funny to have my abilities show up in areas where I'm like, oh, this is so fun. Like I want to be of service to this person that I have a crush on, but damn, now I have to have a boundary because 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 even though they want me to be of service to them in that way, I still recognize where it doesn't propel me forward. Boundary propels me forward. And that one is a bit harder, but probably just as important.
Just as important, without a
Yeah.
doubt.
Yeah, like having boundaries in the things that feel more positive, I guess
Yeah.
is just as important as having boundaries in the things that deplete us, which I've learned to do that really, really well, to have boundaries in
Yeah,
the
you are
things that
really
deplete
good at
me.
that.
Yeah. I'm just like, no. No,
I
no.
admire that in you. You're killing
The
it.
things that feel good and fun and playful,
That's
that's so much
so fair.
harder. But I'm getting way better at it. I really am.
That is like a talent. And also that is 100% growth and like on path and all the things, you know?
Do you have anything like that in like your intuitive abilities and ability to read energy, or like where you're given these like gifts? Yeah, I mean you kind of said it before that you trust that if you're given something then it's because you have to share it and you're meant to share it. So how did you like it sounds like you have a lot of clarity with that. How did you get to that? Did you just like create a structure and it just stayed and stuck with you
I mean,
forever?
the structure, I fundamentally did start with that kind of viewpoint because I know of psychics or intuitives that look in places that they shouldn't, and also sometimes look from a place of gossiping or we're just going to say like ill intention, you know? And I don't, or a lack of integrity. And I can see how that taints their ability to read. So that was always something that, like, right off the hop was very, very important to me. And as I've, like, so at the beginning with my gifts, I 100% didn't receive unless I was actively, intentionally tuning in. But now I receive a lot, like all the time almost. And it doesn't deplete me though, which I think it does for some people when they're learning.
Mhm.
They can find it energy, like it takes their energy. But for me, when I receive things just out of the blue, it's usually just like a very soft frequency that comes in and never depletes me.
Yeah. Okay. I think that's a very important distinction for people to understand. I
Mm-hmm.
remember going through that at like the very beginning of all of this, like 7 years ago, and to learn the distinction. If something is depleting you, like you have to redirect, you have to reformat. And if it's not, then yeah, you're in that
In that
effortlessness.
alignment. Yeah, I do agree
Yeah.
with that.
You're receiving, like, okay, so here's how I've come to learn it as different when I was first exploring this, is that it actually just comes to you as if somebody just knocked on your door and gave you some flowers. You didn't have to do anything.
Mm-hmm.
It just is there.
Yeah.
It's showing up for you. All you have to do is open the door and put the flowers in a vase, or you don't put the flowers in the vase, which can be a waste of beautiful flowers. Putting the flowers in the vase for me is like, oh, I'm getting a very strong intuitive hit that I'm supposed to reach out to this friend today. I reach out to them and then they say, wow, it's like you read my mind. Like I really needed you to reach out just now. Like, and so there's a confirmation.
Yeah.
But if I don't do that, then I'm just wasting the flowers. But we have choice. So we're allowed to do that, right? If
Yeah.
we don't want to, versus maybe the other path that's drain is where you're like constantly seeking where the person is that's going to bring you flowers, and the entire time it's just like waiting for you at your door, but you weren't there to receive it. Like, I think that's how I've come to understand is like, I don't have to effort as much as I do just have to like be taking care of my body and just be
Yeah.
open to listening and hearing and receiving.
A
Yeah.
100%. I definitely agree with that. I think like when you're opening up to intuition, you're opening up to like be a vessel,
Yeah.
and to support the vessel is so important. And to even just only focus on that at the beginning is like such a helpful tool.
Yeah, some of my most powerful, like guidance, like I've been told by spirit, by my higher self, like entire programs to create, entire visions, entire events to create. Specifically, the last two that I just launched, like those were given to me. They were literally
Yeah.
laid out in complete entire like plan. And what I was doing when I got those, walking in the forest,
Yeah.
doing a workout, playing, dancing, like they all came together when I was in a state of taking care of myself, when I was connected to my joy. And yeah, stuff can come through meditation as well, but I find meditation helps me see what's happening. I'm not receiving as much in meditation as I am when I'm moving my body, when I'm taking care of my body. And I'm not trying. I'm just allowing.
Allowing.
Yeah, I'm
Yeah.
allowing, and I'm in a state where those things can access me because I'm breathing, I'm moving, I'm sounding.
That's
Yeah.
super super beautiful. It makes so much sense to me.
Yeah, and I think still there's a part of us that always wants to effort and force and push and
Yeah.
control and make it harder than
Hmm.
it has to be. Can I get your insight on my current process?
Do it.
So I have been, okay, I'm going to talk about my current process and I'm also going to say something that's really fun that I find really funny that's happening lately is I'm being shown things that are so low stakes and innocent and like, for example, I again was on another date. Um, the person was making a comment about the license plate that they had on their car, and I said, I bet you it has something to do with being gay. And then
Uh-huh.
we get up to their license plate and it says gay on their car.
That's so funny.
But I
Yeah.
wasn't even phased. Like I keep having like all these little things happen to me where I'm saying the thing before it's happening.
Hmm.
Or I'm obviously like reading energy and I'm like I was able to read this energy a friend without knowing like that I was just like tuning into something and then I shared it out loud like what I sensed. And then she was like, "Oh my God, like I can't believe that you said that." And like I like named a flower. I told her like a flower that she reminded me of. I just thought it was like being cute, you know? I was like, you
Yeah.
remind me of this flower. And
That
then
is
she
very
said
cute.
that that was like a nickname that she got called when she was a kid. And so I
Wow.
keep having these like little moments of like adorable, cute, innocent ways of showing my abilities coming through, which I
Hmm.
just find so funny because they're like, they don't do anything. Like, it's not like me knowing that the license plate was gonna say that, like does anything. But
I think
yeah.
it does though, you know? I think it is little winks from the universe saying, "Hey, Taria, you're in the flow and you're on the right track and here's a little wink to remind you that." You know,
It's
I
so
think
wild.
we can disregard the subtleties really fast, but they're
Mm.
so important.
I mean, it seems pretty amazing that I can do things like that. Like that's a
It
new thing.
is amazing.
Like
It's
that's a
very
new thing
beautiful.
that's come through
Yeah.
for me. Like I have clairvoyance, I have clairsentience, I have clair audience. Like I have all these clairs, but that is a new thing where I'm able to like it's almost like predicting stuff
Yeah.
in a way, but it feels so effortless and it almost feels comical. Like there's a comical aspect to it. Like I know what's coming somehow without trying to know what's coming.
Yeah.
Awesome. But it, yeah, it's, I guess like the judgment is like, but it's not helping me predict my millions that I would like to make.
So funny.
Just like adorable and innocent and playful and creative. But yeah, yeah, it's funny how we can like maybe make it less than, even though
Yeah.
it is pretty incredible.
I think it's important to like honor the magic in
Yeah.
that as you do, and you continue to like, it's like, here's a little bit more trust. And as you continue to lean into that trust, your gifts just unfold more and more and more. Like it's so special.
Do you think, what do you think the trust looks like? Because, like, I've had this process too of, okay, like, after when I walked away from that experience, I was like, wow, I'm so cool, you know? Like,
Yeah.
like, how did I know that? Like, how cool is that? And I just let it be that, and then I just keep going. Do you think it has to be more than that? Or like, what's your relationship with trust? Like, how do you let the universe know or your intuitive abilities know that you're trusting it and you're listening to it. Like, what's your process of having that conversation back of like, yes, I trust you. I'm listening. Yeah.
I think my process is, I don't even know where to put at that. I think it started so young, like this trust in something bigger than I am. And it is allowing that to come first before logic, which
Yeah.
sounds crazy, but it's true. And I mean, obviously, like, I am a very reasonable person, and logic plays a piece in my life all the time, especially being a mom. It is allowing, yeah, again, like the trust that there is something greater at play here that
Yeah.
need me.
So you're saying that you've lived your life where that came first before logic.
Yeah, it I think
Okay.
because of like nearly dying when I was a baby and like medically not supposed to be here on a number of accounts, that I naturally had that in a bigger way than I think is hard to teach people without them experiencing the bad suffering bits first.
Yeah. Yeah, I think most of us were taught to feel shame or fear around that and heavily rely on logic or, like growing up in a society that's
Yeah,
very,
9 to 5.
yeah, very exactly, exactly. Like when I follow my intuition, it's not doing what, let's say, my ex wanted me to do. It's not, but then I
Yeah.
have to battle with like their fears and their projections and then I have to battle with yeah, it's like this battling with other people's fears and projections and then internalizing them because we don't have as many systems that are reflecting to us it's a brilliant beautiful thing to follow this magic. Imagine if there was like grants and bursaries and scholarships that like it's like here's a scholarship for following your intuition.
God,
I
I'd
would
be so here for it.
like, you know, oh my goodness. 'Cause like, yeah, there is this genius that we can follow, and it takes risk, it takes trust, it takes all sorts of things, and balancing it with, our basic survival needs.
Hmm.
Yeah, a lot of people it pokes at that survival, so it can feel really scary. So it's cool that that's more of your baseline.
Yeah, I feel
I'm not,
lucky,
yeah,
honestly. I also it gives me an ability to show people how to step into that as well
yeah.
and to like pave a path for them to be able to find that trust in themselves. And again, like those little synchronicities and those little happenings, that's building trust in a big way.
Yeah. Yeah.
Very sweet. Love it.
Yeah, I mean it's good. It's important that you have that as your baseline because otherwise you wouldn't be able to help other people come into that. Like I think we're all given one thing that's bigger.
Yeah, it's true.
Like for whatever reason I was given like I literally saw a giant goddess in the sky that taught me how to
I
teach
remember that.
teach like female bodies to have different types of orgasms, like
That's
I've
so
had
special.
like I've been given very specific guidance around sex and pleasure and how that energy codes in with spirituality and codes in with intimacy in like all of life.
Hmm.
And for whatever reason, like that was given to me. I think we all have like our big threads that we have here
Yeah.
on this planet. Yeah, trust has been, I would say, something that I really have had to work heavily at like building that relationship and taking those leaps of faith. So, okay, so circling back, I believe that we're meant to follow these little threads of, let's say it's a desire or something that brings us joy or curiosity or something that's tugging at us
Hmm.
bringing our attention towards something. We can't follow all of those because sometimes it's just like scattered and something is trying to get our attention that's not actually where we're meant to put our attention. So with discernment, I believe in following threads of desire.
Yeah.
And I think those threads of desire should reveal us the next stepping stone in our path. And sometimes we just need to take the next step instead of trying to get to the bigger step or whatever. So I've been doing that a lot lately in exploring all these different avenues of desire in my career to listen and tap into like where I'm headed or to make sure that like the responsibility that I have for myself and my career, my purpose is that I am taking all the action that I can or that I'm being asked or required. And it's been like taking me in so many like there's like it's like all these paths are unfolding in front of me. Like let's say 10 career paths. And I'm like, oops, sorry everybody.
Right.
And I'm like, okay, like I'm reading the energy, I'm following the energy, I'm pulling tarot, I'm going for walks in the forest, I'm getting on interviews with people to like explore that career more. Like I have had like 10 plus deep dive chats into all of these career paths And then I like pull away from them all and I'm like, okay, maybe I'm not supposed to be led to any of them. Maybe it's something, maybe I'm being pulled in these directions for a different reason, or like maybe there's like the next step in my career path is being revealed just by getting curious with all these things. Like, so I believe that something is there for us when we follow these threads of desire or curiosity, but it might not always be what we think it's going to be. Like, my current curiosity is like, why am I being pulled into all these desires and these curiosities? Like, is it more just to know that I did everything that I could, or that I looked at everything and gave it energy and gave it effort. Like, sometimes it's not about taking action and following the path, but rather about giving energy and attention to the
Mm-hmm.
desire that's coming up. And I've never felt so like there's like it's not a stuckness, but it's maybe a stuckness, I don't know. It's just a very different experience that I'm having with this current energy where it's like I have so much energy,
Mm-hmm.
the creativity is so rich. It's so alive. The drive energy is so strong. Like, I could run marathons in whatever direction. Like, I just need to know which direction. Like, the energy is so big and so clear and so strong. And the readiness is here because I just did 2 years of like making space, making space,
Yeah.
making space. And it's a very new feeling for me to be like, okay, like I have the motivation, I have the readiness, I have the drive, I have the energy to make impact, to grow. Like, I'm ready for the next growth step in my career, whether that means like career change or career addition, like adding to my career, whatever. And so I'm following all these threads and I feel like, okay, I'm ready for the next step now.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, but did I take the next step? I feel like I'm like following these threads and I'm like, did I take the next step or did I not take the next step?
Oh, fair.
The energy is so different than what I'm used to.
Yeah.
It feels right, it feels true, it feels like I'm being guided, but like maybe that frustration is coming through again. Like, what the fuck is this puzzle? Like, what?
Yeah.
I don't know if any of what I'm saying is making sense or if you understand or relate to that at all.
I think I'm tracking. And I think that like sometimes again it's like it is the message that's coming through is like don't get caught up in the details, you know?
Yeah.
It is like it's about having a wider scope while still following those threads and knowing that there's significance to that. And that's honoring where you are in that moment. And the sheer act of doing that is incredibly important and can shift your trajectory. So I think that it's easy to underestimate the art of subtlety and the impact our energy has in shifting and also like choosing desire shifts your frequency, you know, into a state that is in more alignment of what you want to bring into fruition. So everything you're doing right now, from what I can see, is really allowing this path to unfold. And it is unfolding. I think you just need to bring a little bit more patience into the equation of letting it unfold. Like, nope, no chance, everybody. No chance.
Man, I feel like I've had so much patience for the last like 2 years. So there's like grief in the process of patience because there's the readiness energy.
Yeah, it's fair.
And yeah, it's funny to hear you say that because I've actually pulled multiple tarot cards and had multiple things come through that's
Yeah.
like, don't get stuck in the details and the process. Like, don't overthink it. And I even journaled something one day where I was looking at all of these incredible career paths and I wrote down in my journal, I said, I have just became the person that is capable and willing and committed to literally follow any one of these career paths. I just
Mm-hmm.
became that person inside. And I remember journaling that and feeling like, holy shit. Even if I didn't follow them, I have fully became the person that is willing and capable and committed to that.
Yeah.
And so I felt like the expansion in my spine and the bigness of that. And that did feel like, I had a moment where I was like, okay, okay, I got this.
Yeah.
But then every day starts again and it's like, yeah, that energy, that like fast moving energy matched with like patience is such a tricky,
It's
such a
a tricky.
tricky.
I can relate to that so much in so many ways, but it is like, yeah, important to just like have grace for yourself when that lack of patience is coming up as well.
Yeah. Yeah, like allowing the impatience to be a part of the process as well
Yeah,
instead
because
of
it is
yeah.
100% part of
Yeah.
the process. That's like agitation, and agitation is, it there is importance in all of these experiences and all of these feelings. It all has a piece in the puzzle.
Yeah, I can see where I haven't been allowing frustration and impatience to be allowed. In my human design, it says that frustration is a sign that I'm not in alignment. And I think that's probably true, but not in this context. I can see where it's true and when actually frustration is super valid and doesn't get me stuck, doesn't take me off my trajectory or path. In fact, it actually is just showing me that I am on the path and it's okay to be frustrated. Yeah, I can see that that's probably been a bit of a accidental sticking point for me. So thanks.
You're doing great. I
Yeah.
like it's also like so fair. Like I can relate to that so much.
Yeah. Yeah, it's just a matter of like constantly needing to channel the bigness of energy in my body.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
fair. You
Yeah.
do process so much energy and you hold so much energy. Your vessel is like extraordinary, and your ability to move energy is also amazing and so beautiful to witness.
Yeah.
I mean, from over here, you're killing it.
Well, why don't we spend, yeah, thank you for all that. It's so funny when you hear exactly what you knew and you're like, oh, like you
Amanda!
don't hear the thing that you were hoping was like the secret code to unlock. It's like you just hear exactly what you already knew.
Ah,
It's like, okay, thank
dang.
you. I love you. I'm still slightly annoyed over here, but like, yeah, maybe that's okay. Like, who
Ah.
the fuck cares if you're annoyed, you know?
It's good
Yeah.
to be annoyed too. It's good to
Yeah,
experience all of it. It's
totally.
holding allowance for whatever is coming up.
Yeah.
And also, like, if there's days where you don't want to have it, allow that too.
Yeah. 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 See, this is the exact advice that I would give my clients. So,
You're down.
okay,
You're
why don't
fine.
we spend the last bit of time? Do you want to talk about your video coming
Oh,
out
yeah. I
and
think that
how people can find you and work with you if they want to work
that
with
would
you?
be
Like,
so
yeah, tell
sweet.
us what you want people to know about you and how to find you and what you're excited about in your career right now.
Yeah, I have a little mini documentary coming out about my life and my gifts and how I stepped into that. A lot of it is about that piece of trust, actually, and
Mhm.
also a little bit about my motherhood journey, all wrapped up in 12 minutes. It is really beautiful. A close friend of mine and a client did it for me, and she is such a gift. It's going to be on my YouTube channel, which is pretty fresh.
Yeah.
And I'll have it linked. It'll also be on my website and linked on my Instagram. Yeah, I'm really
Want to tell people your
doing
handle?
it's Lilith Rose Intuitive.
Yeah.
That is a good call. I'm
I'll
really
put those
bad
links. I'll put the
at it.
links in the podcast description as well. Yeah.
Thank you. I appreciate you.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm really focusing on, I'm doing a lot of readings that have been so powerful and really
Mhm.
transformative and
Yeah.
soft. I'm doing a little bit of energy healing still, and also a little bit of teaching. So I have a one-on-one 6-week course that I
Yeah.
have, and it's really helping people step into their own intuitive gifts. And sometimes that's energy healing, sometimes that's psychically reading, and it always looks different for everybody. So each course is fully channeled, which is special and unique. But that's about wraps it up, I think. Those are the main focus
Yeah,
right now, at least.
I saw a little clip of your video and it's so gorgeous. I can't wait to see the whole thing. That person
Thank
did such a brilliant
you.
job in capturing your essence.
Yeah, she really nailed it. I was impressed. I'm not easy to film. I feel so. Also, my son is Eli is also tricky to film, and she did such a beautiful job. So I'm so excited for you to see it.
I'm so excited.
That should be in the next week or two that I'm going to put it out. So
Cool.
Coming soon.
Amazing. Yeah, I'll put all those links in the description and stay tuned for the flower shop dance party evolution because my vision is to have Michaela on as a tea leaf reader for the Kelowna flower shop dance party.
Yeah.
And who knows what else? Maybe you'll make your way to some of the other locations. So stay
That is
tuned to the Flower
gold.
Shop Dance Party, which is my new my new project.
I'm so excited for that. It looks absolutely amazing.
Yeah, it's very it's very,
Everybody needs to go to the one in Victoria too, because it
yeah.
just looks so special.
Efrae, the DJ who's going to be DJing, is truly the most magical, incredible, talented human and DJ, and I'm so honored and blessed that they are investing in my vision. And yeah, it's very exciting. It's all very unknown. Yes, come to the Flower Shop dance party. Okay,
Second that.
Michaela, I love you so much. I'm
I
so
love it
glad
so much. Thank
that
you so much for
we got
having
to
me.
hang
It's
out.
such a blessing.
Okay.